Non-binary didn't exist when I transitioned. When I transitioned over 40 years ago, there were gays and lesbians, drag queens, drag kings to a lesser extent, cross-dressers, transvestites, and of course, transsexuals. After Stonewall in the late 60s, gays and lesbians enjoyed greater visibility, and that included drag queens. Turns out that cross-dressers and transvestites are mostly cishet men who get off on dressing up. People couldn't change their gender until the medications necessary were created, Premarin, the birth control pill. If you did drag at that time, chances are that you were performing as a person. So if you were doing some celebrity, you looked like the celebrity. You made every effort to look like them. So if you were doing Barbra Streisand, you made every effort to look like Barbra Streisand. People didn't just doll up and do a popular song as themselves in a cute outfit. Even when I transitioned over 40 years ago, you couldn't get your hormones from a doctor. You had to get them off the black market. Some people would travel abroad to get the medications. In the 70s, a couple of disreputable doctors started to offer hormone shots. The shots were part hormone, part B12, and part speed. In the 70s, because breast implants weren't a thing, maybe they didn't even exist, I don't know, people resorted to using wax in their chest to create the impression of boobs. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that that didn't turn out very well. In the 70s, daylight wasn't very nice to trans people, so trans people mostly lived at night, even if they were on hormones. In the 80s, if you wanted to be transsexual, or be called transsexual, you had to be on hormones. If you weren't on hormones, you were considered a boy in drag. Back then, we didn't use the word transitioning much. We would say, I'm living as a woman, or I'm living as a man. But even if you wore the clothing that you felt most comfortable in regarding your gender all the time, and you weren't taking hormones, you still weren't considered a transsexual. It didn't matter what pronouns you were using. If you weren't taking hormones, you were not transsexual. Even the icons of the era that we now consider transsexuals at the time would not have called themselves transsexuals. And that's how it stayed until non-binary, gender fluid was created. Coining those terms for certain trans identities took the pressure off of medically and surgically transitioning, which did us all a great service. Class dismissed!